There are over 180 million people in China watching online video, and they're not just watching. Social media might be a new fad in the West, but in China, the internet has never been a passive experience.
I mean, I think in some ways, you know, for a lot of Chinese people, there's a layer of social networking on many different types of websites. So, for example, even the China's big news portal websites like Sina.com, Sohu.com, NetEase163.com and QQ.com, which are the big four portals. Every news story also you can comment on. And this started before Western media organizations, newspapers, etc., started trying to be all groovy in Web 2.0 and adding comment sections to their articles.
So how do Chinese users discover new content? Surprisingly, instant messaging accounts for over 94% of new videos found. But there is a broader social dimension to the web in China as well.
I mean, if I look at Tudor, how do people find their shows? It basically depends on the recommendations on the site. The best shows end up on the homepage because many people recommend them. People can vote for shows, give them ratings. And what you see as well is that through blogs, if some prominent bloggers write about certain shows, you see a lot of people go into these shows on the site and watch them. So it's really a user-generated recommendation system that shows which content is popular, and it's very interesting to see trends in there to see what kind of actors are becoming important, becoming more popular, what shows are becoming more popular. It's not the same shows as on CCTV, that's for sure.
Right. All these new social behaviors are creating a real grassroots media culture in China, deciding not only what's popular, but also who gets to be famous.
A major Chinese movie director came out with a big film, Chen Kai-ge, and then a ordinary Chinese guy made a spoof of the movie. And the spoof ended up being more popular than the movie. And then Chen Kai-ge tried to sue this blogger who had made the spoof, but the public opinion was so against Chen Kai-ge in going after this blogger that he ended up dropping the suit because he realized that going after the blogger would just make him too unpopular.
I guess the most interesting icon, one of the perennial icons, is this net star named Xiaopeng, or Little Fatty. And Little Fatty is, as you would guess, a sort of a fat teenager, and his teacher put up this picture of him on her blog. And Little Fatty, this picture was a little bit evil, a little bit cute, and netizens were so inspired by that Little Fatty picture that they PS'd or photoshopped his image into images of Little Fatty Mona Lisa or Little Fatty Mount Rushmore. And you know, there's a website called xiaopeng.net where you can see hundreds of images that netizens created. Little Fatty became such a phenomenon that he is now a regular on talk shows on Chinese TV. He's going to be in a movie to be filmed by New Line Cinema. And the movie is going to be based on a net novel. And a net novel is a book or a novel that's published online initially. And it will get famous online, and then if it gets famous enough, then they'll publish it offline. But so a net star is going to star in a real movie based on a net novel.
So what does that mean for advertising? For all the challenges, online video is creating more opportunities for brands to directly distribute their own content. That's a fact that Mark Patterson, head of Group M Asia, has already discovered.
The reality is a lot of the way we're bringing brands and video and film content together is online, not in the traditional broadcast. It's very hard to sit down and develop a primetime show for terrestrial or pay TV exposure. It is getting more practical and realistic to develop short-form content that's going online.
In China, savvy youth marketers are now working directly with consumers to not only distribute their content, but also to create their marketing campaigns as well.
One of our clients, Pepsi, a couple of years ago, they launched a campaign for a yearly campaign called Pepsi Creative Challenge, and they invited consumers or netizens to upload script ideas for the next TVC starring Jay Zhou, who's a very, very, very famous, popular Taiwanese singer. It's a Pepsi spokesperson. So they invited the consumers to post these TVC script ideas. 28,000 people did it. There were over 500,000 mentions of this campaign on BBS and blogs. And what's very, very successful. But what's interesting is that Pepsi stole that idea. They stole it from the fan forums, the J. Joe fan forums or the Supergirl fan forums, where in those fan forums, consumers or those fans were already creating fan fiction, including TVCs. And so what Pepsi did was they listened to what's being said around their stars, they understood the culture of creating this fan fiction and provided a platform for netizens to do that.
The other way that TV brands in China are being extended is through gaming. Gaming is not only core to the online media experience in China, it's also the source of some of the more lucrative business models.
I think everyone should be thinking about gaming. To me, gaming is it's like how everyone should be thinking about strategies of being on the web, or strategies on being on TV, or strategies of being in sort of print media. This is strategies about being on gaming.
Turner Broadcasting in Asia has been exploring how they can extend their brand franchises into interactive platforms. They recently formed a JV with Outblaze to create games around their Cartoon Network character base.
We were trying to leverage the intellectual property and the sort of promotional capabilities and reach, and tie that in with the online expertise of Outblaze, the development of games, the operation and the publishing of games, web developers, that whole space.
We're allowing the kids themselves to play around with the content on our websites because it's something that they expect. It's something that you need to enable them to do if you're going to continue to build the affinity and to keep them on your site.
But a key question for global media companies is just how universal is the gaming business model of virtual items and power-ups? Is this something that would work anywhere, or is it very much restricted to Asia?
I think it's there is definitely a cultural bias to why it's popular here. For example, the concept of buying power-ups to be more powerful to win a game sort of goes counter against the Western idea of game design is what it should be based on your skill or your experience, your knowledge. You shouldn't be able to buy these special, basically cheats to win the game. But it seems like Chinese game players think it's okay, that if you have the money to buy these power-ups, that it's just part of the process of being good at the game.
I think what's happening in China is something that will eventually also happen outside China. If I look at online video, for example, what you see in China, that online video as a substitute for television, that will happen as well in the West, outside China. That will happen in the region. It's logical. Broadband connections get quicker. There's going to be eventually sites that license all kinds of TV productions, all kinds of film productions, put them online, and people will go there to watch them, especially when it's combined with a social network. The problem with television is that it's basically a one-way medium. You watch it, and you might talk about it with the friends in your room, or maybe the next day the people at work or at school. But the good thing about online video is that at the same time you can see what people write about it, you can leave comments. It's more lively. That's missing at the moment. That's something that's going to happen outside China as well, and that's a whole revolution that is starting right now, and that in the next 2-3 years probably will hit the outside world. TV stations have to be ready for this. They need to make deals either with existing sites or set up their own sites together. Maybe pool their programs or films and put them all online.
Not an easy task by any means. But in a way, that is also the real point. Because if there's one lesson to be learned from looking at the grassroots media culture in China, it's that it will be audiences and not media moguls that will reinvent the experience of television.